If you've ever played Minecraft single player, you've at one point likely felt off. Things seem surprisingly quiet. It's the middle of the day, out in a forest, with leaves, grass, bees, and animals roaming around peacefully. But for a moment, everything seems absent, almost like you're in a vacuum. You break some dirt blocks, and catch a glimpse of a name tag, only to realize it's just dirt particles. As paranoia begins setting in, you take a step and suddenly freeze as you hear something walk behind you. Expecting a creeper, you turn around, and yet there's nothing. You've heard of legends such as Herobrine. Could those stories be real? Suddenly, you hear something walking towards you. Pulling out your sword, your heart skips a beat as you hear the terrifying screech of a cow. But there's a very fine line between horror that's enjoyable and horror that's not. This is of course subjective. I can't really predict what you like or dislike. However, I believe that the way that Minecraft ends up giving you the chills is a core problem with the game. The Wild update kind of promised to fix this issue, though it failed terribly in this regard. Stare at the moon. There was just something about the intense fog that made it seem like you were being watched. So it was only a matter of time before someone saw an opportunity to create folklore around it. Now, is Herobrine real? Absolutely not. But since the very first image, he's been something people could mistakenly see and then tell others in a panic. Even to this day, I'm sure there's still thousands of people who legitimately believe in the myth. You can easily recreate the alpha feeling by lowering your render distance, or by just having a garbage computer. But there are a lot of other factors that make you perceive the world as more sinister than it really is, even in newer versions. It's not necessarily aged very well, and Entity 303 is garbage and not scary at all. Personally, I find the Don't Stare at the Moon unfiction to be the best example of what's so terrifying about the game. If you ever get a chance, go up somewhere high and stare at the moon all night. Doesn't it make you feel uneasy? Like it's something you're not supposed to be doing? Speaking of the moon, it seems to have corrupted our world. But no worries, I'll deal with it soon enough. Then we'll get things back to normal. The atmosphere of a place. Examples can include the wind whistling against leaves, birds singing in the morning, and crickets chirping at night. But it can of course be practically anything else. Ambient sounds is one of the most important aspects about life. Without it, you would quickly become unnerved as your internal bodily functions became deafeningly loud. Although please note that this is not necessarily the same as music. While there is a genre around atmospheric tracks, generally it's separate in that you're not meant to actively listen to or even be pleased by the sounds. They're just considered white noise that you'd expect to hear. Sure enough, if we load into Minecraft, there's almost no ambience besides the occasional pig snorting or chicken clucking. Forests have singing birds, and at night, owls cry out. In general, the world feels so much more immersive. There's also the incredibly impressive sound physics mod originally created by Sonic Ether. While probably being a bit too much for vanilla Minecraft, it makes caves sound like genuine caves. Every step you take reverberates off the walls. You can hear mobs echoing throughout the tunnels, and the sound of rushing water will travel throughout an entire cave system. These are just two examples, but I've gotten to the point where I need to use the ambient sounds mod to play normally. Without it, all of my previous issues with the lack of sound is amplified as soon as I turn it off. Something I've seen talked about a lot is the unimaginably vast expanse. The effectively infinite procedurally generated world can easily give someone a minor existential crisis, as everything they could possibly do in the game wouldn't even dent the planet as a whole. One of the greatest things about the game is its never-ending development cycle. There's always a chance something will be improved or changed. But remember that the course of updates can be influenced by the community. So feel free to place your own suggestions and feedback on their website.